Good morning. Good morning. Man, we are having a little technical difficulty over here today, but we're not going to let that stop us. We just keep on going. Not a problem, guys. Not a problem. We all have challenges. It's all a matter of how we deal with it. That is part of my technical difficulties curing itself right there. The sound of that printer is my technical difficulties right there. But any rate, this morning, guys, we are going to talk about seeing is believing, or is it? Which is it? Seeing is believing, or is believing actually seeing? This is something I read. I read this topic in a book that I'm reading recently, and man, it blew my mind, and it really unlocked a lot of things for me. And so I want to talk about that topic this morning. Seeing is believing is something that as a kid, we are always told, right? Seeing is believing. Our whole lives, we're told this story. Seeing is believing. What's happening, Judd? Good morning. But seeing is believing is not necessarily true. In fact, it's probably the most untrue thing that you could be told with regard to what you can believe and how big you can dream and what you think of in your life that ends up becoming a reality. And so what we find is that people that need to see it before they believe it, they will always have a more difficult time in life setting goals and achieving big things than the people who can believe it before they see it. Think about that for a minute. Those people who believe it before they can see it always out achieve those that need to see it first. True or false? I'd love to hear you guys comment on this. Just drop some comments, talk about, your own perception, what you've been told, all those kinds of things. Let's start a conversation about it because I think this is powerful stuff. If you need to see things before you believe them, then the dreams that you have in your life, it's going to be really difficult for you to achieve things that are bigger than what you've already seen other people do. And so for me, this is a topic that really unlocked a lot of things for me because, to be honest with you guys, I've always been, from the time that I was a kid, I was always an unreasonable dreamer. I was always someone that came up with ideas that people kind of chuckled and laughed at. And, I don't know that they laughed at it. Like, my parents always supported my dreams, but they were always like, here we go again. Here we go. He's coming up with all these crazy ideas of how things are going to be. Good morning, Dayton, Dean. What's happening, guys? Clayton, Justin. But the reality is that what we think in our head really does manifest itself into reality. And so when you think about your dreams and you think about seeing is believing, I would guess that a lot of you will have that moment right now where you say, oh man, that is me, right? It is how I think. It is, the thing that holds me back. Yeah, you invented two things yesterday, man. It happens to be all the time, right? But sometimes our limiting beliefs and what we're going to talk about right now is the reason why those things don't come to fruition. I will tell you this, guys. The most dangerous thing that will crush your dreams or crush the things that you actually want to do, it's not procrastination. It's not your bad habits. It's the things that we think in our brains that aren't actually true. They're not actually real thoughts. They're just things that we've been told. And so I want you guys to ask yourselves this morning, where do these things that we think come from? Who told us, and what position were they in when they told us? This is something, as I go back through my life, I really start to think about it. And we all have this, by the way. What we are told as kids, what I try to be careful of telling my own kids is really, it's really the most dangerous thing that we can do is feed someone information that we're not 100% confident is true. And we do it every single day, right? We tell our kids stories about things that aren't true at all to get them to do what we want them to do, to get them to stop doing something that we don't want them to do, right? And so we have to be careful about that information, because what ends up happening is, as adults, we end up believing this shit. We end up believing it to be true. I'll give you guys an example for me personally that was kind of eye-opening, and it's something simple, right? But when I think about, as an adult, drinking milk, cow's milk, right? When I think about that, and by the way, before I went and did 75 Hard, I used to be a big cereal eater, pouring milk on it. I'm not against milk, by the way. So if anybody out there is like a milk supporter or a dairy farmer, I am not against it. Dean Dio, I know you're up there in Wisconsin. Don't be getting angry on me here. I'm not a milk hater. However, as a child, I was given milk by my parents, so automatically I just think, milk is good. Milk, whatever we're told about milk, we believe it, right? As an adult, if I sit here and think about drinking milk, I am drinking bodily fluids from a cow. I don't have the same perception of it. I don't have the same perspective. It is something strange to me, but it's something that I was taught and given as a kid by people I loved and trusted. And so it just became part of my life. Now I think about it differently. That is very similar to lots of other things that we're told in our lives that may or may not be true, may or may not be beliefs that we need to carry with us as adults, may be things that are limiting us from truly achieving what we're really capable of. It took me 30-something years to be brave enough to become an entrepreneur. Why? Because I wasn't taught that. That wasn't something normal in my family. There wasn't a lot of business owners. I had an uncle that owned a construction company. Outside of that, everybody had a job. Everybody went to work. They had careers. They had whatever. So that was normal. And so every time I had one of these thoughts about becoming an entrepreneur, becoming something different, there was always some hesitation. Why? Because it wasn't in my thought pattern. It was, I had to see it before I could believe it. When in reality, if I would have just believed it before I saw it, I would be light years ahead of where I'm at in my life right now. I feel like in the last 2 years, I have accomplished more and grown more in my life than probably in the first 38. And that is because I am now living the believe it before I see it piece of this. Not see it to believe it before I see it. I hope this makes sense, guys. For all of you who are watching, man, I appreciate you guys who have shared this out. If you haven't shared it out, please, by all means, share this out. The mission of this show in the morning, I'm doing this every single morning at 7:30, is to just get people started off on the right foot every day. If you turn the news on every single morning, man, you're not going to start your day off doing good things, because it's depressing, it's negative. They're feeding us all kinds of information to keep us afraid, all those kinds of things. So this show has that mission to just help people start off their day on the right foot and give you information that's going to help you grow into the life that you really want. So please share this out, comment, tag people that need to hear it, all that kind of stuff. So thank you, guys. Here's a couple tips, guys. Here's a couple things that as I'm consuming this information that I'm now passing on to you guys. Here's a couple things that I pulled out of this information and kind of wrote down as I was reading this information that I think will be helpful. I think the number one thing that we can do is focus all of our energy on the end result of what you want your life to be like. And you have to block out all the noise that presents itself every day. Alex, my man, what's happening? Good morning. Dom, Dina, what's going on, guys? block out all that noise that comes on a day-to-day basis that's just that's all it is. It's noise, guys. It's things that are happening along the way that don't really impact the end result. But isn't it true that we get wrapped around the axle on those things, on those little things that have very little, if not nothing, to do with the end result? We get wrapped around the axle on those items, and it stops us. It slows us down from getting where we're actually trying to go, which is an enormous change in our lives. More stability, more security, more financial gain, more family time, more freedom. All those things that we're searching, we get tied up on these little things. Exactly, Bruce. It's called chatter. Chatter, just noise, right? And if I could tell you guys, for all the people that I've led, coached, interacted with on a day-to-day basis, this is the number one thing that I see people, they stop far short of what they're capable of as a result of the noise. And noise comes from a variety of places. The noise that will make you believe you have to see it to believe it is part of this noise. It's quiet that noise, quiet the things that come from people that aren't 100% positive, aren't 100% knowledgeable about what they're talking about. You have to quiet those things. You have to quiet the noise in your life to be able to achieve what you're truly capable of, and to be able to believe before you see it at the level that you need to achieve these things. You will find exactly what you're looking for in life. If you find yourself thinking, this isn't about being negative outwardly, this is about thinking negative thoughts. If I have worry, concern, all of those emotions are what I'm really finding myself going to a lot, that's what you're going to find. If you're looking for solutions instead of problems, if you're always motivated, you're feeding your mind the right things, you're tuning into shows like this, you're going and finding other people that do something like this that are trying to help you unlock these things in your mind that allow you to be happier, to have the freedom you're looking for, then you're going to find those. So ultimately, what I'm telling you guys is we attract to our lives what you feel worthy of having in your life. So if you don't feel worthy to live a huge life, and many people don't, by the way, this is a tough question that you have to look in the mirror and ask yourself, do I feel today like I am worthy of living the life that I am chasing? Because if you're chasing a life that you don't actually feel worthy for, you're going to sabotage yourself subconsciously to not achieve it. I promise you, I see it happen all the time. So working on your perspective of yourself, which is also known as your self-worth, right? Your self-confidence, your self-worth, how you view yourself, is the absolute most important thing that you can do. It allows you to go back to what we're talking about, to believe before you actually see it. This is absolutely the most important thing that you can do. It's believe it before you see it comes from your ability to believe that you're worth it in the first place. And so many people that go through difficult times, everybody faces some kind of adversity, right? And so when people face this adversity, they start to believe that that adversity is dedicated to them because they're not worth it. They're not supposed to achieve something. They're not supposed to, get to where their dreams say that they should be. And the reality is that is absolutely not true, guys. It is part of the process. It is the test to make sure before you are blessed with whatever it is that you are dreaming, that you are prepared and you want it bad enough to actually be able to handle it when you get it. That's what those tests are for. It's not to stop you from getting it. It's to test you to make sure that you are ready for it when you get there. That's what those tests are all about. So believe it before you see it is step one. Feeling that you're worthy of receiving it is part of that. You absolutely have to believe that you are worthy of receiving whatever that is, whatever dreams you have. I don't care how big it is. I'm working on my vision board right now. The things that I have on there, you guys might look at. My daughter came in here last night, and there's a jet on there, and my daughter says, "Daddy, why is this on here?" I said, "Babe, someday we'd like to have a jet." She says, "Man, that would be pretty cool. We wouldn't even have to pay to fly then. We wouldn't have to." But the conversation that took place between her and I about that jet was an interesting one. Because as a 7-year-old, she just turned 7, I could see these things unlocking in her mind about what she thought was possible. Interesting, right? Because in my life, I grew up with unbelievable parents. My dad was a steel worker, hardworking blue collar guy, worked his ass off to give us everything that we had in life, right? But those thoughts of potentially a jet or potentially, they probably weren't there for my dad. And so my dad grew up with a family. He was in a family of 6, and his reality was different than my reality. I am blessed to be able to think the way that I think because my dad worked his ass off to make it possible for me to think that way. Because where my dad came from, nobody thought that way. Nobody had the ability to think on that scale. And so what I'm trying to do for my daughter, for my kids, is to allow them to believe it before they see it. And so the reality of this life is that you will only get what you can believe before you see. If you just see it and then you believe it, man, you're going to have such a limited life. But if you can find yourself believing things before you can actually touch them and see them, man, you're going to create big things. You're going to do big things. You're going to help a lot of people, and you're going to feel more on fire inside than you've ever felt in your life. And that, for me, that is what this life is about. It's not about money. It's not about that jet. It's not about living in a big house. It's about feeling that fire of chasing something, of always being on that grind of trying to find a higher gear. It's about believing where I'm going before I can actually see it. And so when you think about your self-worth and you think about what you are actually worthy of, what you think you're worthy of, that's where you have to go first. What am I limiting myself of believing as a result of whatever I've been told in my life? If you've been told many times as a kid that you wouldn't be worth anything, or man, you're doing this wrong, or all of those negative things that people put into our minds, they are still there. You got to clean them out. You got to push them out with positive information. You got to push them out with confidence. You got to push them out by surrounding yourself with the right people who are going to tell you that you're worth more than what you think. And by borrowing those people's motivation, those people's energy, those people's confidence, you will start to grow it in yourself. I know because it happened to me. There were times in my life where I had people in my life telling me lots of things about me that weren't good. And the truth is, I changed a lot of the things that I do as a result of those people helping me see how dangerous that was. I dated a girl once who literally wore me down to the point that I thought I was a bad person. It is hard for me to believe that today, but I remember being in that position. And so if you guys have those people in your life that make you question things, you better get them out. because they are making you believe all the wrong things about yourself. And so you absolutely cannot afford to live a life where you don't believe in the best version of yourself. You don't believe in those dreams before you can actually see them, because that's the only thing that's going to feel fulfilling to you in your life, is to have those things that motivate you, that keep you going, that keep you pushing forward. And so I will end this like this, and then I'm going to play you guys a video because I think it's a great way to start off your day. It's something that I play almost every single day to start my day. I will leave you with this. If you don't believe that you are worth it today, you better go look in the mirror and you better tell yourself the truth, which is you are worth it. You are worth everything that you dream of having. You're worth having all that. You deserve to have it. You just have to be willing to put in the work and experience the discomfort that it takes to get it. You already have it inside you. This video that I'm about to play you will tell you. All you have to do is decide that that's true, that you are worth it. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm going to leave you with this video here. Hopefully it plays properly because I'm still learning this software, as I told you guys last week. But I hope you enjoy it. I played it before, but I'm going to play it again for those of you who haven't seen it. And if you have seen it, man, it's still going to be killer.
You can tell the level of faith a person has by the size of their dreams. True believers dream bigger and aim higher, for they know the size of the God they serve. And if you want to accomplish amazing things and experience all that life has to offer, you must set enormous, almost to the edge of insanity, goals for yourself. The age of being practical is over. Dreaming with boldness takes the limits off of God. It allows Him to work the miracles that He is so willing to do. Don't set your goals in relation to your own abilities. Set your goals in accordance with the God you serve. And let me tell you this, all things are possible with God. So if you align with Him, if you align with His principles, you are blessed and unstoppable. Now let's go to the Word. Now to Him that is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. Now notice that last statement. According to the power that worketh in us. That means everything you need to accomplish your dream is already inside you. Wake up! That's the secret. It's already in you. When you gain revelation to that power that's in you, there's not a wall, there's not an obstacle, there's not a mountain that can stand in your way. Because all things are possible to him that believeth. And when you believe that kind of way, and you serve that kind of God, you are blessed and unstoppable. You have been granted through grace the power and authority to accomplish your divine assignment. He has placed seeds of greatness inside of you, and with that anointing, all things are possible. God does not want His ambassadors walking around on earth sick, broke, and defeated. There's no glory for Him in that. He made you to prosper in every area so that you can give a shining testimony to the world of His greatness. Every victory, blessing, and success you experience is designed in some way to put you in position to minister to the lost. He has empowered you to succeed so that you can have greater access to bigger and bigger platforms to pronounce His glory. You are a soldier in the mighty army of God, and no great general would send his soldiers out into battle empty-handed. He has fully equipped you to be victorious. Your weapons are faith, mind, and the spoken word. These are the three most powerful weapons in existence, and nothing can stand in the way of them. These are the same weapons Jesus performed all his miracles with, and you have complete access to them. John 14:12 says, "Very truly I tell you, whoever believes in me will do the works I have been doing, and they will do even greater things than these, because I am going to the Father." Now, if the word of God promises you something, then you can rest assured in full faith that you have it. The power's in you. Go now and change the world with it.